This is Eddie Hearn, Matchroom Boxing. You're watching Sporting Icons. You don't need to be anywhere else.
Anthony Joshua is begging Deontay Wilder for a fight now. This is according to Deontay Wilder. So there's an article here from the BBC. Obviously, this is a British station for sport, for news, for everything like that. And they have the article, and I'll put it in the description box as always. And within this one, Deontay Wilder has said this. They're definitely begging now. His management have been trying to reach out to mine all of a sudden. He could have had his opportunity. He had many opportunities. He could have fought Luis Ortiz. He could have fought me. He had a chance to fight Tyson Fury. But people want to know who's the best, especially after seeing this Fury fight. And I've been trying to show people who is the best. I'm always going to say I'm the best until defeated. Deontay Wilder's statement. So, all right, let's break down a couple of things that he said here. So Anthony Joshua could have fought Luis Ortiz. Really? Okay, so Luis Ortiz was a WBA mandatory when Anthony Joshua first won the belt from Vladimir Klitschko. Problem is that Anthony Joshua was also the IBF world champion. I've covered this down to death, but I know that there's a lot of people that just don't get it. He was IBF champion first, which meant the IBF mandatory came first. Okay, otherwise he'd have been stripped of the IBF. All right, so he took on Kubrat Pulev. Well, it was originally meant to be Kubrat Pulev. He pulled out. Carlos Takam stepped in as the IBF mandatory. Luis Ortiz wasn't happy about that. He wanted his title shot now. Even though it was impossible, and Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn offered him a contract, and Jay Jimenez will tell you this as well, who is Luis Ortiz's manager, a contract was offered to Luis Ortiz to fight Joshua next, right after he took on Carlos Takam. Luis Ortiz didn't want to do that. He wanted to go fight Wilder. So he went and fought Wilder. He tried to fight Wilder. He failed a PED test because he didn't declare he had high blood pressure medication in his system. That's why that never happened. Subsequently, he then got suspended by the WBA, which I totally disagree with. If the WBC didn't suspend him, then the WBA should not have also, okay? Either way, they did. That is the facts of it. So Luis Ortiz, no, was never an option for Anthony Joshua unless Luis Ortiz was willing to wait for him to fight Carlos Takam, originally Kubrat Pulev, right? He didn't want to do that. And then, of course, he ended up rescheduling and ended up fighting Wilder and had Wilder out on his feet, and Luis Ortiz got screwed in that fight. Now, with Tyson Fury, Anthony Joshua could have fought Tyson Fury. Wrong, and wrong. Tyson Fury was saying how he wants 60% all the way up, and he will fight Anthony Joshua on his return. And then he said, no, actually, I'm not going to. I need some tune-up fights, blah, 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 blah. Anthony Joshua says, I'll fight you any time that you tell me you are ready to fight. But I don't want any excuses about how you come back too soon and fought me too soon and all this kind of thing. Go do what you got to do, get back to your best, and then come see me. So therefore, when I beat you, there's no excuses, okay? That's why Anthony Joshua didn't fight him yet. Because he doesn't want people saying how he cherry-picked Tyson Fury. Deontay Wilder has no problem cherry-picking. It's what he always does. He has a whole orchard full of cherry trees. Okay, that's what Deontay Wilder does. Hence the reason why he took the Tyson Fury fight, and it bit him back hard. Deontay Wilder should never, ever have got into the 12th round, let alone discussing who really won the fight. We all know Tyson Fury should be the WBC heavyweight champion right now, but it should have been a non-discussion. Because Deontay Wilder taking on Tyson Fury at this stage of Tyson Fury's comeback should have blasted through Tyson Fury. He should have, but a 70% beat Deontay Wilder. That shows how bad Wilder actually is. Imagine Tyson Fury at 100%. Perish the thought. And last, but certainly not least, he could have fought me. You're right. He could have, but you wouldn't sign a goddamn contract. You strung it out, and you strung it out, and you strung it out. They offered you $12.5 million. You didn't even respond. You then came back with $50 million. Where did that money come from? And it was confirmed by Frank Warren. It was coming from BT Sport. We all know Anthony Joshua cannot legally fight on BT Sport. It's not complicated. Okay, so therefore, that money was not there. It wasn't real. But people still won't understand that bit. Okay? Then Joshua offered him 15 million and said, take the 15 million and I'll fight you next. It will be either the last week of October or the first week of November, depending on what date we can get the Principality Stadium in Cardiff, Wales. We can't get Wembley for this time. We can get Wembley for September 22nd, but your platform, Showtime, who also want to show our fight on pay-per-view, said we're not doing September 22nd because the week before that, we've got Triple G and Canelo, the rematch, also on pay-per-view. In other words, we're going to take a hit for the numbers. So therefore, we can't do that. Wilder said, okay, fine, I accept the 15 million, let's fight. He was then offered a contract. He's sent a contract, was it a week later? And then he come back and said, well, there's no date and venue and there's no rematch and blah, blah, blah. So first of all, rematch, then you're not confident about beating Anthony Joshua. If you're really worried about a rematch, why would you be worried about it? Okay? So either way, with date and venue, as I just told you, we knew where it was, Principality Stadium, Cardiff, Wales, and we knew roughly when it was. So just a 2-week difference. We didn't know exactly what weekend it was going to be on. That was the only issue. But 15 million, he called it smack money, crackhead money. How much do you get for Tyson Fury? You wouldn't even have hit 10 million. Listen, even his 4 million guaranteed, even if you didn't make not one penny more than 4 million that he was guaranteed, it's still decent money. But consider you offered 15 million, you complete crackhead. That's just ridiculous. And a chance for Undisputed. Was Deontay Wilder not the guy who said, when a champion calls you out, you rise to the challenge? Well, Joshua's been calling you out ever since, right? And incidentally, when all these negotiations were going on, Wilder dropped the shoehorn straight out of his mouth the other day there, where he said that he broke his arm in training 12 weeks before he started camp with Tyson Fury. Incidentally, doesn't that fall round about the time that he was at the tail end of him negotiating with Joshua when he's offered the 15 million? And then he accepted. Why did he accept? Because he thought Povetkin and Joshua was already signed. And to his shock, horror, it wasn't. Oh my God, how do we get out of this one? So either that happened or he genuinely did have a broken arm, in which case he was willing to fight Joshua with a broken arm. Because it wouldn't have that well repaired in time, would it? If he was having problems with his arm in the Tyson Fury fight, which was, 5 weeks later than the original scheduled date for Anthony Joshua, imagine the damn condition of his arm 5 weeks previous to that. Does he love his fans that much that he was going to go in there knowing he's going to get blasted out, knowing he can't throw his right arm? Of course not. Of course not. And now he says Anthony Joshua's... They've been begging you for a long time. They want Undisputed. But now you have just blatantly said now that they want the fight, that Joshua wants to fight, but you don't. Again, let's go back just a little bit more. Right before you took on Tyson Fury. Well, I don't want to talk about Anthony Joshua right now, even though that's all you've been doing for the last 18 months. I don't want to talk about Anthony Joshua right now because I need to concentrate on Tyson Fury. After I beat Tyson Fury, then we'll sit down and we'll talk about it. What he didn't tell you all, Wildettes, what he didn't tell you all, and I did a video on this one as well, but you guys seem to ignore that bit, I think, for a lot of you guys. Some of you guys have actually realised exactly what's what, but he signed a 2-way rematch with Tyson Fury, which meant he was never fighting Anthony Joshua on April 13th. So he was wasting all your times thinking that maybe if he beats Tyson Fury, he can fight Joshua next. But he never was, because either way, he was always going to give Tyson Fury a rematch. What they didn't bank on was a draw. They didn't bank on that because that wasn't part of the contract. So again, you have to admit, he wasn't looking to fight Joshua. He never was. And now, a lot of you guys say, all we want is Undisputed. We want to find out who's the best, rah-de-rah-de-rah. Well, he didn't want to fight Joshua, even though he's now saying, so I never want to hear from you guys again, that Joshua doesn't want to fight. He's telling you Joshua wants to fight. And he's also telling you he doesn't. But I know the narrative of you guys. Yeah, well, Deontay Wilder's right. He shouldn't have to fight him now. He had his chance, blah, blah, blah. No, he didn't. Wilder had his chance, but Wilder didn't do it. He's exposing himself all the time. He says one thing, Shelley Finkel says something else, Lou DiBella says something else, and Tim Smith, who is Al Heyman's right-hand man, says something totally different as well. people are lying in Team Wilder or they're just not talking to each other. It's one of the two. Wilder's full of crap, man. Absolute crap. And thankfully, I know that a lot of the Wilder fans are starting to see it now. That they've been duped. Thinking that their man was telling the truth. I promise my fans, I love my fans. One face, one name, one champion. Deontay Wilder. All words to that effect. Isn't that what he's been saying? He never wants it. He never wants Joshua. He knows he's not capable of beating him. He knows if he lands on Joshua, he can beat him. But he also knows if Joshua lands on him, it's good night too. And he doesn't want to risk it. He sees Tyson Fury as a cherry pick. Next time round, I'm not too sure Tyson Fury is going to be so much of a cherry pick. Anyway, that's the news. Article in description as always. Click the thumbs up on this video, drop your thoughts below, subscribe, and I'll catch each and every one of you on the very next video.